One of the challenges of community engagement work is that we often get the question, well, what is your definition of community engagement?
But instead of trying to figure that out and give answers, we brought together some of the best organizations in the community that were doing it.
What's really exciting about this initiative is that we've invited 5 very deeply experienced community engagement organizations to essentially build a field of practice around community engagement.
And ask them to help us to make definitions or get a really close look into what community engagement was.
So that includes knowledge production. They have been developing over the course of 20, 30, 40 years a body of knowledge about what works in community.
They're looking at evaluation and best ways to capture the powerful work that they're doing. They're looking at ways to connect with others from around the country that are doing this kind of work. And they're looking at increasing their capacity to demonstrate the work so you know it when you see it.
We're bringing the skills and the knowledge together of these organizations so that then they could be shared with the broader community.
The Native American Community Development Institute was kind of founded on 3 tenets. 1, to do community organizing. 2, to do community engagement, and 3, to do community development work. And really blending the community development with the wants of the community and really asking and framing the work in asset building and wealth creation.
We teach these basic principles of engagement and organizing, but through an indigenous lens framework with indigenous values and strategies.
Wealth and assets can be framed not necessarily economically, but also spiritually and culturally and in a communal sense.
To be able to work with these leaders and see them go throughout the community and create other leaders, that's the most rewarding and most important work that I do.
Our mission is to unleash the power of citizens to heal themselves and build community.
We are actually working with people to be able to activate and use the power and the knowledge that lies within them and use that in a way that flourishes their life.
We really are trying to help people recognize that they are not alone and that they can find within themselves the power to heal themselves.
Which ultimately will enhance and uplift other people in the community.
Casa de Esperanza was founded over 30 years ago by a group of Latina activists as a program that could provide emergency shelter for Latinas. And 30 years later, we still operate that shelter program, but we do so much more. And we do so much more because shelter is only one answer for the issue of domestic violence.
So not only do we help to build community leadership, but we look to provide opportunities for community members to put those skills to practice.
Putting the work in the hands of community. That's what's at the core of our work.
Our mission is to end domestic violence in Latino communities with the help of community members.
Our work covers everything from the environment to housing to public safety to leadership development to ESL. And the reason that we have such a broad portfolio of work is because our job is to be the vehicle for all of our 8,000 community members to shape the neighborhood to what they want it to be.
Tenemos vecinos de diferentes razas, diferentes culturas. Me gusta aprender diferentes tradiciones, diferentes culturas. Y entonces eso es lo que hace Lindell para mí.
We're really interested in how do we bring people together and build lasting relationships for people to be able to work together.
is a community development corporation that infuses intensive community engagement in various different programs.
Sustainable progress through engaging active citizens. It's a community organizing training.
Transportation justice programs.
Racial justice and racial equity, understanding what that means.
Gardening or food justice programs.
Articulating Our Voices Now, the girls group at Hope.
Intersections program, which is
art and community building is explored through dialogue, through creating art.
Learning literacy with community stories and community folks telling stories.
Understanding your personal power, understanding public power, some of the issues and things that might come up with, having ambivalence toward power.
Nexus Community Partners has been supporting community engagement organizations since 2005 and learning from them along the way.
The work that we do is really about trying to support the capacity of organizations that do work deep and authentically in cultural communities, with an aim at building the capacity of those communities, with a special attention to the culture of those different communities. In addition to that, what we try to do is bridge across those communities again so that we can really tap the power in a bigger sense than any one community can bring together.
This is what community engagement looks like for us in our community, and these are the values and the principles that we share across organizations, regardless of whether we're working within a cultural context or a neighborhood-based context.
So community engagement to me is...
Community engagement to me...
Community engagement is about...
Community engagement means...
The whole person is involved.
Engaging the neighborhood expertise.
Believing in the strength of community.
Our community does the work with us, or we do the work with the community.
Working in partnership with community members to address issues that are happening in the community.
What issues matter with them, what their hopes are, what their dreams are, what do they want for the community.
Puts community at the center, that puts our participants at the core.
And letting community guide our work.
Ensuring that community voice is involved in all of the work.
To ensure that the systems and structures that are put in place actually reflect the people that they claim to represent.
Whether it's with philanthropy, the private sector, with government, to make sure that their vision is articulated in all the work that's happening within the place that they live.
It's about putting the tools and the resources and the supports in the hands of community members who are out there day in and day out.
And to provide opportunities for them to take action in community, to take action that's really going to help create a change.
The first question we ask ourselves when we're thinking about anything is, does this build community?
Unimos esas culturas. Les enseñamos a los niños a tratarse iguales. Hacemos actividades que hacemos en nuestros propios países, son las que involucran a todo el tipo de razas que tenemos en la comunidad linda.
Creating those ties, that trust, and that shared collective vision and passion to make sure your community moves forward.
The only way we can get to these building blocks and create that more well-rounded community, a healthy community, a stable community, is to engage and to connect and to build with one another. And without that, the rest of the work doesn't really matter.
At its foundation, this work is really rooted in building relationships.
In any strong community that you find, wherever you look, if it's strong, then the relationships between people in that community are strong.
For Lyndale, community engagement is everything. The whole reason we exist as an organization is to build connections and relationships between people.
And our lives don't fit into year-long grant report. They don't fit into month-long programs. It's really about a long-term investment in the relationships.
And you can't have community engagement work take place if there is no relationship with community. Because communities have to be able to trust you. They have to know that you're transparent and that you're genuine. They have to know that they can call you out, right, on your stuff, and that they can hold you accountable, and that you will own up.
When you're working in communities where there is a level of disinvestment, disenfranchisement, having that trust is incredibly important, and it takes years to build that kind of trust.
The foundation of all of that work And all of our programs and projects in this field of community engagement is rooted in connecting with one another and knowing one another.
Ahora no tenemos miedo de salir adelante, de salir a las calles, porque ya conocemos a nuestra comunidad.
If you have all sorts of people who live on a block together and none of them talk to each other, when something happens, they don't have anywhere to go. They don't know how to turn to each other. They're not watching out for each other. It's not an abstract idea.
All of us can see the value in living in places where we know who each other are. All of us can see the value in knowing that I can turn to somebody for resources because I know they will be there because of the relationship that I have with them.
I don't think the work can happen if there are no relationships, if relationship building isn't occurring.
People use community engagement to say they're doing outreach to community. They're providing some information, they're sharing brochures, they're telling people about their program. But it's a one-way option for a community. Community doesn't influence that program. Community can't expect changes in that program. Community can come to that program.
People are not empty vessels for me to pour something into. They have something to give and something to offer.
People bring new resources, new assets, new thinking, new life to the table.
Viewing people as active participants shaping their lives, not clients, that are broken and need to be fixed.
Work with people to make them understand that they have all they need within inside, and you're just there to kind of water it.
Community engagement is at the core of everything we do. So it's not just about what we do. It's not just about programs or initiatives, but it's about how we do our work.
Being present, being there.
Being there for somebody, always.
Being present.
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Do what you say that it is that you're going to do.
Meeting people where they're at.
Meeting people where they're at.
Listening.
Listening.
Listening, and then making sure that opportunities are created based upon what you heard.
And when we ask, we have to be very intentional about listening to what community members are telling us.
And then engaging them based on their passions, based on their interests.
And then ensuring and making sure that we take action on those things that they ask for.
How do you go into a community and tell people what it is that they want or make assumptions?
We don't have the right to define how this work should happen. We do have a right to work alongside our community, though, and to really listen to what they need, what they want, and how they can help make a difference.
Communities lead us into the next phases of our work.
Every time we do a comprehensive process should change a little bit about how we do our work. And if it doesn't do that, then we haven't really listened.
Community engagement is important.
Community engagement is important.
Community engagement is necessary
to support people so that people can do more than survive.
Everyone I've ever talked to has wanted to feel a part of something. I have yet to meet that person who deep down doesn't want to be connected to something.
People every day are metaphorically and literally dying.
There's loss of community, there's loss of culture, and there's isolation.
It's necessary to uplift people in order for communities to flourish.
The reason why I do this work is for the continuance of my people.
For centuries, things have happened to us and against us.
As it is, we're losing our languages and our cultures and our spirituality, and we need to hold on to those things. And the only way we can do that is through community engagement.
Community engagement is a way of bringing people out of isolation. It's a way of connecting people to one another, connecting people to opportunities and resources so that they can feel a part of something, they can feel capable, and they have opportunities to shape how their lives are lived. For us, what's hard about community engagement is really finding ways to communicate its value.
And there's great value in being involved in community engagement. It means that the work gets done in ways that you would have never thought about doing the work.
If you do a Google search for community engagement, you're going to find it connected to electric companies and NBA teams and so forth. And so our struggle is being able to say what true, authentic community engagement looks like. And to be able to show people that it has a real impact in your community, in your life.
It means that the results that can happen far surpass anything that you could have imagined.
When people are engaged, I rarely see them stop.
people start to realize who they are, start to realize their value, start to understand their worth.
Poder enseñarle a las demás mujeres a cómo puede cambiar su vida, cómo puede pasar de ser una persona más de la comunidad a ser un líder de la comunidad.
This parent was able to find within herself what it is that she wanted to do in her life. She was able to come from a state of crisis, come from a state of almost hopelessness, and be able to be fully present, fully alive, give back to people in the community. This parent also started to bring other parents into the parent meetings. The things that were done for her were the things that she was giving back.
I run a community mural project where we work with American Indian youth, and it's an organizing process where they go out through the community, find what the community would like to see on their walls, and then we paint the mural, and we have a mural opening, unveiling ceremony. There's a drum there. We smudge down, but it's much more than just paint on the wall. It's building capacity in these youth. It's creating ownership and pride in the community, and they can look to something that they've contributed as a young person.
I think the mistake that we often make is we think that strong communities happen by accident. We think that, great neighborhoods just randomly appear. They don't. They take a lot of work, they take thought, they take intention.
Anytime we see good quality equity opportunities, you see multiple voices, you see people with access.
When community engagement is tied to other community development opportunities like home ownership, like entrepreneurship, workforce, that those are far more successful if those individuals are supported through a community. How do we begin to communicate what we know to be true, that this matters, this has impact, and how do we begin to find more ways to support this work so not only that we can continue it in our communities, but that other people can begin to do that work in their own communities.